Hello and welcome to Pluribus Unum's Fireside Chats. Now this is a few hours, but hey, it's something. This episode is going to be vastly different from all the other episodes because there ain't no news stories. I mean, there is a news story, but I was trying to look for news stories to possibly do it in a normal manner, but surprisingly, this is the thing that's kind of been on a lot of people's minds ever since it happened. So we're going to be starting on that. I could go in depth, but I'll just say the thing that we're all thinking. Democrats had a really, really bad night. They really did not have a good night. As of the day I'm recording this, the GOP has 212 seats in the House of Representatives, with Democrats with 200. And just looking at this graph that they have on Google, which is from the AP, it ain't looking so good if the results maintain as they are. I don't know, but I'm just seeing a lot more dark red than I'm seeing a lot dark blue. But it'll be, if Dems are able to win that one, it'll be the most slim win of all. Senate, things did not do so hot. For starters, obviously, Dan Osborne did not really do so hot when the race ended up falling through. He did well early on, but then they stopped counting in the areas that were blue, and, started counting in the areas that were red, and, naturally, things didn't go so well for him. As expected, John Tester didn't survive. Not as expected, but somewhat expected. Sherrod Brown didn't survive. And in a shocking turn of events, Bob Casey did not survive. And yet somehow Tammy Baldwin was able to live. And somehow Elisa Slotkin was able to actually win. There are two Senate races that still haven't been called yet, but most people have kind of one of them I think has been called by some, news pundits, Nevada, with Jackie Rosen, basically being seen as the de facto winner. But the race, I guess, is still hypothetically close enough that there's still, room for, Sam Brown to squeak by. And in Arizona, I was going to say something, but, the race is still narrow. There is still a room for Kari Lake to win, but most people have kind of figured that it's not the most likely scenario that is going to be happening, but the results that seemingly most people are paying attention to is the results of the presidential election, which, best case scenario, Donald Trump will get 295 electoral votes. But seemingly the more likely scenario that most people have already kind of realized is that it will be 312 Trump to Harris's 226. How in the fuck do you fuck up this bad? Nobody expected this scenario. No single human being who actually knew anything expected this scenario to come out. In quite genuinely no expectation was the results going to be, even in a losing scenario, nobody expected the results to be this bad. It is just so unbelievably fucking dumb and just so weird that this scenario happened. I genuinely cannot imagine how it is really hard to put into words that this happened at all for a number of reasons, some of which we'll get into in a bit, some of which we won't get into, but just in the most pure objective case, think about this. Voters overwhelmingly hate, they didn't like Trump in the first time he won. They basically didn't like him the first time he ran. Then in 2020, they hated him relentlessly. Enough to make it so that he lost in a massive landslide. Then that landslide dries up, and he's now back in the White House. In any sense, this does not make any sense. This is the equivalent of somebody dating someone, and then that person cheats on them. You break up with them, and they're like, please, I've changed. It's like, well, when you put it like that, except Trump didn't even say he changed. He's not changed anything about his platforms since those elections. He's made weirder, worse decisions that make no sense, especially when you look at exit polls. Because let's just take a look at some exit polls. In this race, Kamala Harris only got +8 for women. That's one thing. For men, Trump got 13 points over with men. And based on race and gender, black men voted for Harris +56. Black women +84. Latino men, Trump +12. Those first two were for Kamala. Latino women +22 Kamala. White men +23 Trump. White women +8 Trump. The thing that a lot of people are, of course, walking away with is the fact that Donald Trump is doing well with men. And, particularly according to, I don't know if this poll has specifically young Latino men or young men, but it seems younger men especially they do well in. In the age demographic, Harris only got +11 for 18 to 29 year olds, which should not be a thing. This shouldn't be a thing. Number should not be this low. And they compare it. Clinton +19, Biden +24. It is, again, just weird. But, it's a little hard to explain. Because a lot of people have tried to say a lot of different things to try and explain why this happened. Why, how, what the, how the, who the, what the. And this was a factor that I was going to put in my predictions, but I was kind of just you know what? No, because I had more faith in Americans than that. But I was just look, Americans are stupid. That's shock of all shocks. Americans are stupid. Wow, what a concept. Let's be real. That's a factor. That's a fact. Straight up fact. Anybody who disputes that is a liar. But a lot of I made a whole documentary that kind of explained this fact. But it's a lot of Americans don't really care about political ideology. They don't care about specific ideology, specific platform planks, because they are all over the place. We have states that voted for Trump overwhelmingly, and then they voted for literally it'll be this is literally basically how it is. It's here's a bill that will literally make it so that medicine is socialized in this state. It wins by 0.7%. Meanwhile, healthcare executive-backed candidate who literally plans on cutting all healthcare funding forever wins the state by 75 points. It's that is the level that we have for a lot of people. Remember, in 2016, the states that were the more conservative-leaning states in the Democratic primary are the ones that Bernie Sanders won, because they wanted to reject political orthodoxy, reject the political whatevers that existed. Speaking of, here's his statement, because again, a lot of people have been trying to figure out why, how, what. I'll get to my perspective in a second, but let's get into Bernie's perspective, because Bernie has some words, so let's hear them out. Okay, so it should come as no great surprise that a Democratic Party that has abandoned working class people would find that the working class has abandoned them. First, it was the white working class. Now it is Latino and black workers as well. While the Democratic leadership defends the status quo, the American people are angry and want change, and they're right. Today, while the very rich are doing phenomenally well, 60% of Americans live paycheck to paycheck, and we have more income and wealth inequality than ever before. Unbelievably, real inflation accounted for weekly wages for the American worker are actually lower now than they were 50 years ago. Today, despite an explosion in technology and worker productivity, many young people will have a worse standard of living than their parents. And many of them worry that artificial intelligence and robotics will make a bad situation even worse. Today, despite spending far more per capita than other countries, we remain the only wealthy nation not to guarantee healthcare to all as a human right, and we pay, by far, the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. We alone, among major countries, cannot even guarantee paid family and medical leave. Today, despite strong opposition from a majority of Americans, we continue to spend billions funding the extremist Netanyahu government's all-out war against the Palestinian people, which has led to the horrific humanitarian disaster of mass malnutrition and the starvation of thousands of children. Will the big money interests and well-paid consultants who control the Democratic Party learn any real lessons from this disastrous campaign? Will they understand the pain and the political alienation that tens of millions of Americans are experiencing? Do they have any ideas as to how we can take on the increasingly powerful oligarchy, which has so much economic and political power? Probably not. In the coming weeks and months, those of us concerned about grassroots democracy and economic justice need to have some serious political discussions. Stay tuned. That is what Bernie Sanders has said. And this is the thing that is bothersome. That is the thing he said in 2017. In 2016, in fact. He said that basically immediately after Hillary Clinton lost. And no one listened to him. And guess what? Democratic consultants have already made it clear they don't intend to listen to him either. With the DNC chair, Jamie Harrison, responding to Bernie Sanders by stating, quote, "This is straight up BS. Biden was the most pro-worker president in my lifetime, saved union pensions, created millions of good-paying jobs, and even marched in a picket line, and some of the MVP's plans would have fundamentally transformed the equality of life and closed the racial wealth gap for the working people across the country. From child tax credits to $2K for down payment for a house to Medicare coverage to the cost of senior health care in their homes. There are lots of post-election takes, and this one ain't a good one. I have no interest in listening to Jamie Harrison. Nobody should care what Jamie Harrison has to say, except for the fact just to make fun of him. Because Jamie Harrison is a fucking hack, political hack, stupid hack. Nobody should give a shit what that guy has to say. He ran in a red seat, literally spent millions of dollars, funneled millions of dollars from the Democratic Party into his own race with Senate seats, lost massively because it was a deep red state. I had no chance of flipping. He was the guy that tried to make it so that Biden would remain the Democratic nominee. Because he owes his position to Joe Biden. Joe Biden appointed him to this position. He didn't get elected to this position. Remember, back in 2017, the DNC elected their new chair. He resigned, then Jamie Harrison got to be chair because Biden appointed him. And then, do that. It's because, Jamie Harrison is basically just Biden's, I was gonna say something else, but I'll just say he's his. No, I can't say any of the things that I'm gonna say because they come off as slightly offensive. But thankfully, we won't have to worry about him much longer because he is apparently not going to run for another term. Thankfully, because this man is stupid, does not deserve any credibility whatsoever. But I'll get to that in a second. I'll get back to that in a second because I want to bring that to attention. That fact, December 25th, 2017. When the DNC was faced with this exact same problem all those years ago, they had that choice. There were a lot of people running for the DNC chair position. One of them included Jamie Harrison, who dropped out because he had no chance of winning. And they literally had a discussion. And the discussion was basically this. How do we move forward as a Democratic Party? There were two people who were running for that position. Tom Perez and Keith Ellison. Keith Ellison wanted to fix the problems in the Democratic Party, refocus their strategy, focus on bread and butter issues, focus on rural people, focus on working class people. And they said no. Tom Perez, the guy who was endorsed by Joe Biden, the guy who was endorsed by Obama, the one that was endorsed by all the corporate establishment Democrats, they chose him over Keith Ellison. And this has been infuriating my mind, especially recently, because Keith Ellison was 100% right. Everything he said in 2017 when he ran for the DNC chair position, he was 100% right. Everything he said prior to him doing that, he was 100% right. Everything he said afterwards, he's 100% right. 100% right. 100% right. I've talked about him before, but he is big brain. He was one of the few Democrats who literally openly said, hey, guys, we need to start thinking of a plan if Donald Trump is the nominee. This is going to be dangerous. We need to make sure, we need to prepare, we need to encourage people to vote. We need to do all this stuff. He had this plan before Donald Trump was even the nominee. Back when literally Donald Trump was not even considered a viable candidate in the race. They laughed at his face. He was proven right and wanted to run as DNC chair to put in a plan into action. But no, they said no. Fuck you. Out of here. Cringe. And that was the day the Democratic Party died. When they couldn't learn from that mistake, they died. They couldn't adapt. And point this fact out now. Tom Perez doesn't have a job right now. Keith Ellison is Attorney General of Minnesota. Keep that in mind. Who has better political outlooks and political strategies that we should have been listening to the whole time? I genuinely am just realizing now, again, like, why did they choose certain people to be the leaders of the Democratic Party? Debbie Wasserman Schultz, that makes no sense. She was in a safe blue seat the entirety of that time. It makes no sense why she was the DNC chair, except for the obvious fact that there was like this whole finagling shit. I'll get to that in a second. Like, the first DNC chair that I guess should make no, like, it's a little hard to explain, but like, Howard Dean being the DNC chair both makes sense and both doesn't make sense. Because he literally just lost massively of the presidential primary because it was rigged against him. But it makes sense because, like, you know, they, I guess, trying to move on and have a different plan for the Democratic Party or whatever. But then came Tim Kaine, and then Tim Kaine dropped out. Like, he resigned from the position and basically said, hey, I have an idea. Why don't we have Debbie Wasserman Schultz? Like, everybody points at, like, this is a very obvious thing that happened. Everybody knows this fact. Tim Kaine was DNC chair for a little bit, and then when he resigned, it said, hey, I don't want to be DNC chair anymore. I have a person that I think would be a good idea to be DNC chair, Debbie Wasserman Schultz. And then, since it was during the Obama administration, he appointed her. And then, conveniently, Tim Kaine is the one that gets chosen to be the VP nominee when it's time for Hillary Clinton to run for president. And I should mention, Debbie Wasserman Schultz was like Hillary Clinton's campaign chair in like 2008, I think. She was a campaign member or endorsee of her campaign at that time. But yeah, I'm really getting old drama because, yeah, they haven't learned. They haven't learned. The Democratic Party has not learned about this fact. They haven't learned. And 2020 was the year that it could have changed. Even after that. That was their second chance. That was their second chance to learn to change. But then, they learned the wrong lesson. Because it's like, I didn't really understand. They learned the wrong lesson. They took 2020, the results of like, oh yeah, Biden won by a massive margin. Clearly, Americans don't want left-wing populism anymore. And that's what happened in this election. Because in this election, notice, left-wing populism wasn't there. I mean, I tried to, like, I didn't explicitly say it, but like, yeah, like, think about this. Like, not just for the left, or in, like, whatever. The Democrats themselves didn't have a plan. They didn't realize that 2020 was a fluke. It was a fluke because Donald Trump was so unpopular, anybody could have won. Which is weird because Biden himself said that. Biden himself has said, like, if you don't become the Democratic nominee, do you think any of the other nominees have a chance? And he's like, at least 16 of them. It's like, yeah, literally, any of them, if they were the nominee, they could have beaten Trump. They just went harder on that. They just went, yes. Like, guys, remember, very early on in the election, Democrats would announce bids and would literally have campaign sites that were just donation links. No platform in sight, no plan. They didn't have a plan. They didn't have a platform for the next election. All they wanted to do is defeat Donald Trump, defeat January 6th insurrectionists. Except when it matters, but we'll get to that in a second. They ran on that as the boogeyman. They didn't have a plan. Like, literally, even progressives did that. Like when Katie Porter ran, she did the same thing. She just announced really early to try and sneak in. There are a lot of progressives, like people who were at a long period of time, progressives, like Mondaire Jones, what's her fucking name? Michelle Vallejo? What's her name? Elizabeth Guzman? Like, those three, for a long time, were really hardcore progressives. Come this election, when they want to run for Congress, there's not a peep about that. It's just basic baby liberal shit. That's basically it. Because you couldn't run on that. This wasn't the election of ideas. This was just to get, like, basic baby shit down. There are a lot of progressives that are, like, endorsed by the Progressive Caucus. Like, what makes these people progressives? There is nothing there that remotely says that these people are progressive. There's nothing there. Nothing distinguishes them from, like, any other lib candidates. But it's just the Progressive Caucus just wanted to win. They just wanted people to win, so they're just like, yes, we'll just endorse more people. And guess what? Jones lost, Vallejo lost, Guzman lost. They all lost. Who are fucking progressive icons for this race? Sarah McBride, fucking Zionist shill? Bro, there were progressives online that were literally just picking random-ass candidates to be like, I like this candidate. It's like, based on what? They're endorsed by this particular centrist Democrats, like, pack. Like, why are you backing this person? Why is this person good? I mean, aside from, like, just voting for them just to, like, prevent, like, the Republican from winning, but, like, where is the, like, yes, I love this. Like, I don't get it. They just wanted a W. They wanted W's because they didn't have anything. There was nothing. The left planned nothing. They don't share a lot of the blame for this loss, but I want to give special shout out to them because I love self-criticism because the left had no plan. How many leftist candidates were running? How many progressive candidates were running? How many? None. I mean, literally, aside from the Justice Dem pack, just them, that's it. We were running purely on the defensive. But, like, there were tons of open seats that we could have run. We didn't even fucking endorse Barbara Lee. We could have, like, tried to put some effort into another race. But no, you fucking bitch-ass stupid people were so focused on, like, your fucking vanity bids, your fucking loser shills, your crying, bitching, and moaning. You guys were focused on that instead of anything actually productive. Because why not? If you wanted to focus on something, if you wanted to, like, just... I don't want to give too much attention to you guys, but, like, you guys definitely do cause a very bad thing. To just give a little bit of a quick this, I guess I'll just say this. I'm going to give a special shout out to all the people who purely are the reasons why we lost. Just random ones, you know, generally just everybody who I could just say fuck to about this election, because no hold bar, I could just say it. Fuck Donald Trump, fuck Kamala Harris, fuck Joe Biden, fuck Joe Manchin, fuck Kirsten Sinema, fuck Josh Gothmeier, fuck Carolyn Budo, fuck Philemon Vela, fuck Jared Golden, fuck Henry Cuellar, fuck Vicente Gonzalez, fuck Ed Case, fuck Jim Costa, fuck Kurt Schrader, fuck John Fetterman, fuck Mark Kelly, fuck Merrick Garland, fuck Sonia Sotomayor, fuck Jimmy Harrison, fuck the media, fuck Elon Musk, fuck Benjamin Netanyahu, fuck Jill Stein, fuck Cornel West, fuck everybody who didn't vote for Kamala Harris, fuck the people who voted to send the orange pedophile back to the White House, and fuck the fact that there was no plan. Just fuck all of them. Like, there's no heroes here. Guys, I mean, I'm the hero here. I'm the hero. I'll be real. I'm the hero. Like, the Dems did not have any counter to anything this election cycle. They didn't counter anything. Like, this is a dumb thing. It's like, they countered it by saying, no, you're wrong. That's not a counter. Can you, like, explain why you're wrong? That's, like, a thing. It's like, they could have countered anything. Like, it doesn't, like, literally, the Republican Party is literally full of dumb, bullshit, idiot people who don't understand anything, who are fed narratives from foreign governments and billionaires, and just love that so much. And yet Democrats couldn't acknowledge and counter any of that fact. They couldn't acknowledge and counter any of it because their mouths were too filled with the cum of Mark Cuban. Like, genuinely, that is the dumbest thing. Yes, I shit on the people who voted for Jill Stein or Cornel West and, like, whatever, and I encourage people to, like, no vote for those people or don't vote at all. Yeah, but you guys are on the list, but you're not in the top parts of the list. Because, I gotta be real, a lot of the blame goes to the Democrats. Like, I mean, you can't, it's why I'm not even necessarily, I'm just confused and perplexed and angry at the Democrats, mostly, because, like, you all did this to yourselves. You all did this to yourselves. You got Joe Biden in the White House, magic fluke, and then didn't do anything with that power. It's like, there were literally so many things you could have done to prevent this specific scenario from happening. You know, you could have done things like prosecute Trump for the literal all crimes that he committed when he was in office. Literally, any of them. But no, you were too limp-dick to do that. You could have passed the Build Back Better plan and actually give people what they want, which they would have loved and would have encouraged you to continue under your administration. But no, you had the Blue Dogs go, we're not going to do that. We can't do that. We can't support that. You could have passed the PRO Act and actually made, like, a huge part of your platform. We are the most pro-worker presidency. We have it literally codified into law, you being able to join a union and do all this union stuff. But no, Mark Kelly was like, I can't vote for it. Sorry. It's like, and he sits on it for, like, literal, like, years. And then literally, it's like, oh yeah, you want to be vice president? He's like, well, I love the PRO Act. It's like, Well, then why didn't you then use that power to vote for it at any point during the administration? You could have abolished the filibuster, trying to do anything to prevent anything from happening. But no. We can't do that. We can't do that. Because the parliamentarian said so. You could have forced that rotting bitch Sonia Sotomayor to retire. Now, I know you might be thinking, that's a little harsh, isn't it? Fuck no, I don't care. I do not care. I've seen people start crying and being like, Sonia Sotomayor, she should retire now. It's like, why didn't you fucking tell her to retire yesterday? I don't think she should retire now. Guys, I'll be real. I don't think she should retire because you know what's going to happen? If she says, I am going to retire, Republicans are going to say, no, we can't do that now. No, we can't fill it now. Because that is the plan. That's what they'll always do. I don't care if you guys are going to say, but they did things like, I don't care. It does not matter. It does not matter any of the things that you said. Because literally, the Republicans are going to pull out some random ass rule. They'll be like, actually, we have blah, blah, blah. And the Democrats are going to be like, okay. And they're going to whine and piss themselves. That's what's going to happen. That is what's going to happen. They could have put down any fucking laws to try and regulate the role of foreign and domestic billionaires influencing elections. Like, anything remotely that could have challenged the fact that Elon Musk spent millions of dollars in this race. They could have not jumped on Bibi's cock and tried to do a massive genocide of the Palestinians. And there's reasons why all that could have worked for their benefit, which I'll get into it a little bit. But I guess you want to say this. Like, again, I am blameless. I did literally everything right. I shit on Kamala and the Dems and still turned out to vote for them. I literally spent all day long being like, Kamala Harris is shit. She's a terrible candidate for president. She's a terrible candidate for president. But I still voted for her regardless. I did everything right. And the fact that people are still going to go be like, it's the far left's fault. Because yes, some people are so fucking stupid and literally just like, it is the far left's fault that we lost. It's like, in what fucking world is it their fault you lost? You ran one of the most openly pro-right-wing candidates in the race. You held rallies that literally actively encouraged, moderate Republicans to try and join the Democratic Party. It didn't work because they don't want to join your party. Their heads are so full in their ass that they will never join you. You really think you're going to get Romney to openly be like, I endorse you, Kamala Harris? No. These guys do not care. These guys do not care. They will never give up the fact that they love Republicans. Their whole spiel was trying to get Nikki Haley and Nikki Haley voters. Haley turned around and endorsed Trump. And this is the thing. This might have worked in previous elections, but this is the fact of the matter. Every single Republican who would hypothetically vote for Kamala Harris, they're already voting for her. They already voted for her. They're already doing that. This is the results that you get from that. I literally gave up a core principle of my platform. Me, far leftist, gave up a core principle of my platform and ideology to vote for you, Kamala Harris. And yet you guys are going to turn around and then go blame me. I did everything right. Blame Mitt Romney for not endorsing you. Blame your brain-dead campaign managers that were like, let's try and get moderate Republicans. Guys, it doesn't exist anymore. Moderate Republicans don't exist anymore. But Phil Scott won. Wow, you turned Phil Scott over. The guy who already was going to vote for you. Wow, you turned over Liz Cheney, who was already going to vote for you. It's the dumbest fucking bullshit thing that just makes no sense. There are other analyses about this race that are just so fucking stupid. Like, again, one thing a lot of people are trying to point to is, again, far left. But particularly, they want to focus on trans people, saying trans is why we lost the race. Wait, what do you mean? Kamala Harris, in the last bit of the election, veered rightward on trans issues. Randomly, a ton of Senate Democratic candidates were just randomly like, I don't like men playing in sports with little girls. It's like, wow. The thing that nobody has campaigned on, you're now coming out against. Wow. Bravo. It's like if a candidate came out randomly and was like, I am against murder. It's like, I mean, we all kind of assumed you were. I mean, what are you talking about? And again, like Tom Swizzy and Seth Moulton, randomly, at their post-election analysis, we need to stop pandering to the far left. with a person that a lot of people have jokes as Richie Torres saying, like, we need to stop pandering to AOC. It's like, what pandering? What are you talking about? Again, either focusing on trans issues or, I guess, one that's to segue Gaza. They literally are just, and this is what I've said before the election, not, like, because a lot of people are also trying to say, like, it's Gaza. It's not Gaza. Guys, it's not Gaza. Jill Stein got less votes this year than she got last time. It was not Gaza. Even if you were to give me numbers that literally say, no, it had to be, no, it's not Gaza. It's not Gaza. I'm not giving you the justification of saying it is Gaza. Because of the fact, nobody's going to say it's Gaza. Not a single human being on this earth is going to say Gaza is the reason why. Actually, scratch that. The person who's allegedly Richie Torres, he says that, he says that Kamala shifting farther to, pro-Gaza issues, that's what lost the election. The fact that they're also saying, they are literally trying to make it so that Kamala Harris, it's like she veered too far left. She did not. She did not. She did not. In no circumstance is she far left. I mean, I guess unless you want to go with the analysis of, like, Americans are stupid, they don't understand politics, they don't understand anything, then yeah, I guess whatever. In their fucked up mentality brains, then she's probably far left. I saw a person literally blame Kamala Harris's loss on defund the police. They're blaming the cop losing because of defund the police, a thing that hasn't been a thing since 2020, which is also a stupid thing to blame because the people who were anti-defund the police, they lost. Meanwhile, the ones who were pro-defund police ended up winning more terms in Congress. We should 100% not listen to Seth Moulton, especially because Seth Moulton literally had no opponent, so there's really no reason we should even consider him legitimate. He got like 20th in a race of 20 Democrats, remember? But as I said before, nobody is going to say that Gaza is the reason why they lost. Because I'll be real, no American cares about Gaza. I'll be real, not a single American cares about Gaza. Yes, sure, the Muslim community might have, done whatever, but it's like, the fact of the matter is, doesn't matter. When the country itself has massively shifted, there's no way that it could be blamed on Gaza, on the Gaza policy. There's no way you can do that. Especially in the history books. Nobody's going to look at the history books and go, well, you see, Joe Biden was hawkish on Israel-Palestine. Then they made him resign and then have him be replaced with a less hawkish politician on this issue, with her opponent being extremely hawkish on this issue. Not a single person is going to then go, you see, the reason why she lost was because she was too hawkish. She was too hawkish. No. Obviously, the natural assumption would be, oh, you see, people just didn't want her to be that bad. They wanted something more hawkish. That's what they wanted. Because it's literally what you would think. If that's your analysis, if you think Gaza is the issue that did this, that would be your natural assumption. Because, literally, comparing it to previous elections, think about it. The reason why Trump beat Hillary in regards to trade, the reason why we do that analysis is because Trump was, quote unquote, better on trade than Hillary, at least on the issues that they wanted. They literally wanted more tariffs, so they voted for a candidate that wanted to have a more protectionist trade policy. In the 1968 election, Nixon literally campaigned as an anti-war candidate. Not like one of those hippy-dippy anti-war candidates, but more like a practical sense anti-war. I will negotiate a plan to end this war. He ran on that when Nixon and Humphrey were war hawks. There was an antithesis there that could be extrapolated. But that doesn't exist in this analysis of the election. If you want to know why Democrats failed, I have a couple of reasons. Here are my reasons why I think the Democrats lost. I have broadly 8 reasons, but, maybe I might ramble and say something that might be considered more, but, whatever. 1. Billionaires, foreign domestic funding millions into Trump and right-wing channels. Yeah, let's be real. Musk spending millions of dollars on Trump is a very obvious helpful factor. Literally, the rich millionaire class really wanted Trump. They really wanted Trump, so they spent a lot of money to get Trump. But Kamala had this billionaire. It doesn't matter. More money was for Trump. COVID, what do I mean by that? Obviously we know COVID helped Democrats in 2020, but I'm talking more about this. The effects of COVID are starting to become more prevalent. This is the thing that a lot of people got to learn. A lot of people aren't even necessarily understanding of this. COVID-19 broke a lot of people's brains. Not in the sense of literally like they got sick and now their brains are messed up. I literally mean the COVID-19 pandemic as a whole has broken a lot of people's brains. During that time we spent quarantined, a lot of people got extremely radicalized. We've seen this before. That's when the rise of QAnon happened. But TikTok radicalization happened a lot during that time period as well, against the vaccines or whatever. But there are a lot more elements of that. A lot of that has continued. Like, a lot of people still have that process in their head. Like, especially with Gen Alpha. Like, Gen Alpha literally is going to have there's going to be a time period where it's like, yeah, there are going to be a lot of people that are going to have scientists already did this, where it's like a lot of people have like a lot of problems that will happen when they get older and they'll have to socialize with more people. But it's also happening with the older generations. A lot of older generations have changed a lot. Again, a lot of people have shifted more to the QAnon stuff, and a lot of people just generally have shifted. And you might say, well, yeah, but maybe in that sense, maybe for apolitical people or whatever, but not just apolitical people. There are people who walked into the COVID pandemic and were broadly left of center and walked out basically Nazis. A partial example that's good can come from Joe Rogan. I know he was already a brain-dead idiot before the pandemic, but when he went into the pandemic, he was clamoring, oh, I love Bernie. Tulsi Gabbard, anti-war, that's good. I believe that people should be paid $20 for labor. And now, he's going, RFK Jr. and Donald Trump are the ones to save the day. A lot of people get radicalized on stupid shit like vaccines because they just love to read the narrative online more than they trust mainstream media. It's a broad tenet of we need to change things up. It's a thing that has always been a thing. Populism is better than not populism. And in every sense of the word, if you don't do anything, if the left or the liberals can't offer anything, then they're going to shift to find somewhere else to go things. And here's another thing that a lot of people have noticed. There's one specific element about this. One specific element that gets its own special mention. As I mentioned before, young men have shifted a little bit rightwards. And that's because of the rise of things like the manosphere and dude bro right-wing content. The right wing is grooming young men really hard right now. Vosh, Hassan, Xander Hall have tried to warn us, and we didn't heed their warnings. Well, I mean, we did hear their warnings, but with things like Andrew Tate, Sneeko, and a bunch of other prominent right-wing people, Aiden Ross and all this other stuff, people in that sphere literally just being openly right-wing. Back in the olden days, they would have been considered relatively apolitical or whatever, but now, they literally are just right-wing people. It's a narrative that a lot of people have been trying to run with, especially. That, this, I'll get to a little bit of a criticism of this analysis in a bit, but let's just go over what I have right here. Where it's people, people who have objectively right-wing opinions, but wrap it up in a different layer. They wrap it up in a layer of dude bro content. Of course, hyping up chauvinism, all this other stuff, masculinity, toxic masculinity, whatever. It's been a thing that we've all seen, obviously. It's been a thing since 2014, but it's finally reaching its peak nowadays with this election. As I mentioned in my big media documentary, it slowly started seeping in, but now it has officially entered the mainstream discourse because a lot of these people who were of young age watching all this type of content, now they're older. Adam Kinzinger, one of the fucking GOP people who left the GOP to support Kamala Harris and Democrats, he has even tried to make this claim as well, that the Democratic Party has turned their back on young men. Which is I'm just perplexed. This is the one thing I really don't get about this analysis. It's the one thing I will always be critical of in this analysis. And it's the fact of there are a couple of things I can be critical of. One thing is how the fuck are we going to fix that? Because I've heard a lot of people say we need our own Joe Rogan, or we need our own Joe Rogan or whatever. Or we need our own thing. But it's guys, we have our own things. They're called Vosh, Hassan, and Xander Hall. We have them already. It's not working. But the second thing that's been perplexing me, especially with this analysis, is what do you want? Because that's one thing that a lot of people are saying. Adam Kinzinger himself said, we need to share positive masculinity or whatever. We need that. That'll be the perfect counter. It's but I'm genuinely confused. What do you mean by that? What are you talking? What specifically do you mean by we need a positive masculinity? We need that. What specifically do you mean? And this is one of the big problems with this this is one of the biggest problems with that, because, like, the way Kinzinger framing it is, like, the Democratic Party is saying that everything masculine is toxic. Not a single Democrat has ever said that. Not a single Democrat has ever said that. At all. Clearly give me some citations proving me wrong, but I've not seen, like, a Democratic pundit, I've never seen a Democratic candidate explicitly say everything masculine is toxic. Because men and trans men, like cis men, trans men, like, we exhibit masculine characteristics. Like, what? Like, this is one of the big things. It's just kind of like is this just a me thing? Because, like, I don't really worry a lot about my masculinity, because it's one of the big things. Like, I gotta be real and just say this. There's a book about fascism that literally goes on to explain how fascism and, like, right-wing movements like this, one of the cornerstones of it is sexual frustration, which seemingly is going really well with a lot of other right-wing movements in, like, around the world. Korea has this especially hard, with a lot of young men shifting very hard to the right because of some so-called feminism of madness. And it's one of the big things, like, people are saying there, like, pronouns. It's like, what are you talking about? Is that is your concern? And that's one of the things that, if that's your concern, it's like, yeah, I think you're just lost. If your concern about, like, masculinity and, like, this stuff is, like, pronouns and, like, acknowledging toxic masculinity exists, like, what do you want? That is the thing I am genuinely confused about. What do you want? The problem is voters aren't going to give us a straight answer because they don't know, because Americans are stupid. I gotta get that's a point later. Democrats have this, like, this is a big blame. They have fucked themselves over during the Biden administration. The fact that Biden came in with all these promises and did little is really a big thing. It wasn't just the fact that the GOP was trying to stop him, because if that was the case, they could have ran on that. But no, the Blue Dogs killed the Build Back Better plan. The parliamentarian killed all these other plans. And if they survive and win the elections, they will not face any punishment or repercussions. But AOC Rashida Tlaib says one thing very slightly out of line. Magically, like, this is one of the things that's confusing. Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman are getting removed, are losing, because they didn't vote on the bipartisan infrastructure bill. Meanwhile, Jared Golden literally helped lead the charge against the Build Back Better plan and was the only Democrat who voted against it. Where was his primary bid? He'll remain unpunished because we need his votes. Bitch, we needed his vote then. If his vote isn't coming in at the cornerstone of your literal platform for president, then why is he here? Like, literally. I do not get it. It's like, oh, but we need him for votes. It's like, what votes? What votes? This is the thing you ran on. The thing that you are telling everybody around the world, around the nation, hey, this is the thing judge me on for the remainder of my presidency. This is my thing. You had signs at your rallies saying Build Back Better. This was your plan, the cornerstone of your platform. And then Jared Golden doesn't show up. He votes against it. How is this guy going to go unpunished? Next major problem was the fact that Democrats fucked themselves by literally not prosecuting the criminal who they're going to have. The fact that Trump was allowed to run at all is fucking stupid. Literally, all of the crimes should have gotten him jailed. In Brazil, there was a literal January 6th inspired coup that happened in the place. And Bolsonaro is basically banned from running for office for life. Technically, he's banned until 2030, but given his health record, you know. And another country, Colombia, had their presidential runner-up banned from running for office due to the fact that he had shady business dealings. Like, I mean, literally, it doesn't matter. The big things or the small things, it doesn't matter. There should have been punishments. Like, I mean, in the latter one, it wasn't even Gustavo Petro who did it. Gustavo Petro literally said that Rodolfo Hernandez should not have been sentenced for his crimes. When so-called third world countries have better functioning democracies than us, what does that say? And this is one big thing that it really is fucking perplexing. It's like Chris Murphy literally tweeted, like, he made this tweet about, like, blah, 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 like, you know, because a lot of, like, libs and a lot of, like, leftists have tried to, like, say a lot of things, some of them reassuring, some of them doomeristic. And Chris Murphy had a tweet where it was, like, kind of, it started out kind of like, yeah, a lot of people are, like, being reassuring. And then randomly he says this in the tweet where it's like, that Trump might not be lying about the roundups and political persecutions. And it's like, if you thought that, why the fuck didn't you do anything about it? Because the rule said so. Fuck the rule. If you genuinely thought that Trump was a threat to democracy, why the fuck was he allowed to run at all? Genuinely. If you genuinely thought that Donald Trump was a threat to democracy, he was going to do all this stuff, why the fuck was he allowed to run at all? Moreover, if you thought he was a genuine threat to democracy, why didn't a bunch of a lot of Republicans also said, it's like, oh, he's a threat to democracy. It's like, if you genuinely think that, why aren't you just jumping and be like, yes, Kamala Harris, say yes, I'm voting for Kamala, yes. Romney especially, it's like, he's just like, I won't say who I voted for. I'm not particularly a fan of either of the candidates. It's like, if you genuinely think that Trump is a threat to democracy, why the fuck didn't you vote for Kamala? Why didn't you publicly announce you're voting for Kamala? Why? I thought so, which is why I voted for Kamala. I swallowed my pride and did it anyways. Mitt Romney's pride is too big. You want to know why they wouldn't hold Trump accountable? Because if they had to hold Trump accountable, they would have to hold a lot of people accountable. And they don't want to hold a lot of people accountable. What do they? 6. Democrats did not offer anything to counteract the Biden administration. One big thing, a lot of people are really reflecting on this. A simple question on The View. Kamala Harris was asked one simple question on The View. Would there be anything you would have done different from Biden? She responds, I can't think of anything. Literally, not anything. Not a single thing you could have done differently. Not a single thing you would have done differently. Nothing. Nobody liked Biden. Look, listen to me. Look at me. Nobody liked Biden. Jamie Harrison and libs who sucked him off on Twitter, they don't count. They're not people. They don't exist. They are sheep. They are shills. They are empty vessels of Biden's semen. That is what they are. They're empty holes for Biden's semen to go into. That is what they are. They do not exist as human beings. They are not functioning human beings. They are not real people. Not a lot of people like Trump, but nobody liked Biden. Left, right, center. Nobody liked Biden. And yes, Kamala Harris was slightly different from Biden. Everybody knows this. But you had to be a policy wonk to see this. Normal people don't see this. And we live in an era where, populism is in, establishment is not. And Kamala Harris ran on this establishment. And that's literally why Trump lost in 2020. He was the establishment. Biden was the anti-establishment candidate. Literally every single party that was in charge during COVID-19 has lost, with the exception of AMLO's party, because AMLO and Morena didn't actually offer stuff to people, actual policy things that could actually make things better for people, which happened, and which made people want to help them and vote for them and keep them in office, so that they can continue doing the good things. 7. Democrats didn't offer anything to counteract Trump's lies. Kamala Harris could easily say, Trump lied. A lot of people could say, Trump lied. I said it before, Trump lied. Okay. How did he lie? What specifically did he lie about? Care to give us some citations to prove it? This is one of the big things. This is one of the big examples. A lot of people, a lot of libs, a lot of people, like Jamie Harrison said in the beginning, they like to be like, oh, but if you objectively look at this, it's yeah, Biden is the most objectively pro-worker president. I don't understand why workers would want to vote for Trump. Objectively, the economy's doing great right now. I don't know what you're talking about. What are you complaining about? They couldn't counteract the fact that the economy was doing well because the average American does not see the imaginary line that goes up and down the graph. Imaginary line under Trump. Imaginary line under Biden. Here's the problem, though. Again, nobody sees that line. Nobody cares about that line. They don't care about that line. That line doesn't exist to people. Normal people do not have the line. Liberals like to go around and be like, look, GDP, gross domestic product. If you look at the line means nothing. Gross domestic product does not mean anything to the average American. They don't see the gross domestic product of the country going up immensely. They see prices going up that high. And here's the thing. The liberalism of Kamala Harris will do nothing to address that. But the right-wing populism of Trump, it will also do nothing to address that, but it tells you that it will. That's the thing about the fascism and the right-wing politics and stuff. They like to say that they'll do things, but they don't. They don't care. Left-wing populism does address it and does something. And that's the big problem, because Democrats don't like that. They don't like the ability of actually counteracting and doing things. They like to do things that benefit, This is one of the biggest problems. Like, next week's video is going to be me finally doing the liberalism bashing video, because I hate liberals now. I hate liberals. I fucking hate liberals. Liberals are disgusting scum on the earth. If you're a liberal watching this video, either unsub or start changing your ideology, because fuck you. And same thing with the conservatives. If you're conservative in the audience, fuck you, go away, I don't care. If you two are going to be stupid and, like, rein yourselves in on this, like, bullshit narratives of, like, conservative, liberal, or whatever, if that's what you're going to go with, go away. You do not exist to me. You are not normal people to me. Like, there are so many things you could have done to address this. Like, yeah, like, literally, even that fucking question, like, even the question before of, like Biden, Kamala did not have to do much. She could have said, under Joe Biden's administration, we did X good thing. I want to continue building upon that X good thing. Like, for example, like, I don't know, like, let's say a specific thing. Like, let's just say, like, oh, wages went up 50% under this administration. I want to raise it another 50%. We built the groundwork of making a national minimum wage. Let's continue that fight. You could do something that makes it so that, yes, I love Biden and Biden's amazing, yeah, but we're going to build off that. But that's not what they want. They want surface level analysis and surface level problems. Like, surface level solutions to surface level problems. Like, Kamala Harris couldn't address the immigration problem. Like literally, simple. Like, left-wing populists address all these problems and fix them. Like, literally. Like, right-wingers go, deport all the Mexicans. Like, they do that. And then liberals go, no, I don't think that's a good idea. Like, that's what they do. Meanwhile, like, a left-wing populist could literally try to address the actual problems of the immigration. It's like, hey, right-wing populist, I have a question. Why are all these immigrants coming here? Why do you think all these immigrants are coming here? Could it possibly have anything to do with the fact that the U.S. has been destabilizing all these countries in the global south for years? And maybe if we actually do anything to actually address these problems in the global south, then maybe we can actually do something to address the issues of immigration at its root of the problem? When Donald Trump says, I'm America first, you could literally just go, yeah, you're actually Israel first, considering you're in the back pocket of Netanyahu. But you can't do that, because if you did that, you'd have to, like, start talking about your own people, but last but certainly not least, I think, honestly, biggest reason, Americans are stupid. Let's be real. They're stupid. They're stupid. Americans are stupid. We have people who both love Bernie and Trump. Americans know nothing, have no coherent ideology, they get fed misinformation by the elites, and they just love to do stupid things. Even our own cures don't work. The internet is supposed to fix this problem, and now they just spew the BS and lies that the mainstream media does. Gas prices have been up for a while, but the vibe is up there. Crime's down, but the vibe is up because they're fed a narrative by the MSNBC. Like MSNBC, Fox News, CNN, OAN, like all these news agencies, they feed the narrative. But don't feed the narrative of, like, actual important things, because a lot of people made this shit talking about it now, where it's like, oh yeah, like, literally the day after Donald Trump wins, magically all these organizations are literally starting to be like, oh yeah, here's this thing that we were sitting on, like this thing that Donald Trump said. And it's like, why didn't you report on this yesterday? From experience, my own mother is like, yeah, we need to get on Medicaid because we don't have any income coming in. It's like, we're gonna need health insurance. And yeah, it's like, oh yeah, enjoy that while it lasts for like 2 months, because Donald Trump, his plan is literally to make it so that you have to work to get on Medicaid. And it's like, oops, you should have probably learned that earlier. That's like a very important cornerstone of his platform. Oops. Man, prices are so high. Yeah, Donald Trump wants to increase prices exponentially, especially on the so-called farmers that you care about. Oops. We need to stop getting involved in things like Ukraine and stuff, and we need to stop getting involved in wars. Oh yeah, Donald Trump literally said that he wants to invade Mexico and Iran and Lebanon. Oops! Americans are all vibes. They're just vibes. That's all they are. That's all they have. They don't rely on actual analysis of actual politics. Just anecdotes and nonsense. Which is exactly why Bernie could have possibly won, because he's able to at least talk to them like normal people. Like very bluntly, I just gotta say this. The exact reasons why Bernie would win in a general election is the exact same reasons why he would never become the Democratic nominee. Literally. Because he addresses actual problems. He can address and make actual solutions. Yeah. But I guess we're finally at the point where I can actually answer the question of the fucking, like, channel. Like, what is the channel? What is the question? What do we do now? Die. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm kidding. Kind of. But, you know, like, at least for people who do the good thing, but, like, yeah. We're low-key kind of fucked right now. Like, even if you do not believe in the most hyperbolic scenario of the situation, yeah, we are kind of low-key fucked in a lot of regards. Like, even if you don't believe in, like, you know, SS soldiers marching around the United States to be like, did you vote for Kamala Harris? Even if you don't believe in that like, kind of stuff, like, you know, Gestapo type things, like, again, we are fucked. Trump wants RFK Jr. in charge of the U.S. health organizations. He wants to deregulate the meat industry over, like, a lot, like, mentally. He deregulated the meat industry a lot during his first administration. He's going to do the same thing again. Prices are, of course, going to go up immensely. If you're in the 18 to 25-year-old age range, get ready to go to Palestine, Iran, or Mexico. Trans rights are basically gone. The rest of the LGBT community is probably going to get fucked a little bit. Sonia Sotomayor will die. She will die. I mean, guys, I'm just hedging my bets. Like, yeah, she is going to die. Like, she's dying, obviously, and she's going to die. And then he'll get to appoint the nominee, and then things will get fucked. Climate change is going to be completely destroyed. Guys, I gotta be real. That last one is the big one. Bernie said in the video right before this election, this is the last election to handle climate change. Yep, this was the last election to handle climate change. Sorry, guys. It's over. We lost. We lost on that regard. I mean, I did genuinely think, like, my mind went to certain other escape routes, but, you know, for many reasons, that's not going to happen. You know, no afterlife, no money for the plane ticket. I don't even think my passport's up to date. Even so, where would I go? Blah, blah, blah. There is, like, a slim, very tiny, slim silver lining that apparently maybe the worst case scenarios might not happen. That's the best. The best thing is, like, the worst case scenario, because apparently, like, I mean, Steve Bannon has claimed, like, you know, Project 25 is the plan, but, like, there's apparently, like, something that has been going on a little bit, because apparently there is actually a separate plan called the America First policy, which has a website in and of itself, which Trump has, like, explicitly stated his connections to, which seemingly is a less radical version of Project 2025. Like, yeah, a lot of you are still gonna get low-key fucked in that regard, especially trans people. Like, that part hasn't been less radicalized in that plan at all, but, like, maybe, hypothetically, democracy won't fall. Maybe, you know, we'll have to wait and see, unfortunately. What are some actual things you can do? Join DSA and turn it into a threat. Not gonna lie, it's time for DSA to do something. I don't know what, I don't know how, but clearly they need to do something. Clearly they do. Remain politically active. Literally be it Justice Dems, DSA, Progressive Victory, generic protest, direct action. Stay active. Giving up lets them win. Like, even if it's a losing battle, let's just, I mean, look, I'll be real. Even in this term, especially, it's going to just be a losing battle, essentially. We're all going to lose. We're all going to lose. America's going to lose. But go down swinging. Let's go down swinging, guys. If Kamala won, I would have said, make her next 4 years hell on earth. Cross out Kamala and replace it with Trump. Like, yeah, I mean, genuinely, it's the only way you can be active, really, in this political sense. You need to, like, make sure that your voices are heard. Whether it be on, like, you know, hashtag activism, be it, like, IRL activism, you know, be it a mix of both, be it podcast or whatever, you know, do whatever. I would say a good idea would be to try and radicalize liberals. A lot of liberals radicalized under Trump's first term, and hopefully this will lead to another level. This might be hurt considering the next podcast I'm going to make is going to be shitting on liberals, but hopefully it'll be in a way that liberals will then be like, yeah, you're right, I am fucking stupid. Try and be smart, like, literally in whatever way. Keep up a trade, keep up, like, whatever, get a good employment, like, trying to learn to, like, unionize and stuff. 5, and here's the big one, get weapons and weapons training, or, like, training for self-defense of anything, be it a knife, gun, martial arts, anything that makes you a threat, you know, just in case, you know, just, it's all self-defense, Like, I mean, literally, during the Trump administration, I intend to, like, carry a knife with me everywhere I go. We have a Second Amendment for a reason, my friends. But don't do crappy, stupid things. Like, don't, like, panic buy. Don't do anything. Learn about all this stuff before you start doing anything, like, actually like that. Also, learn, like, things like first aid, you know, try to be, like, somewhat healthy, especially, like, not even necessarily, like, in preparation of, like, any, like, bad things, just be prepared in case of any bad things, alongside generally just being healthy. Like, I mean, some of this is stolen from Vosh, who has a video on a similar subject, where it's basically just like, yeah, just be healthy, because yeah, healthcare is going to get expensive under the Trump administration. So yes, if you are healthy and need to go to the doctor less, then yes, that is a good thing. The only big political thing that's actually interesting is pay attention to the news of the general strike, currently scheduled for May 1st of 2028. Will it happen? I don't know. That's why I'm saying pay attention to the news. Sean Fain seems to be the guy right now. So, be prepared. What, all those answers are stupid and bleak and don't really give you any analysis of anything? What do you expect about me? I'm a 24-year-old community college dropout. Why the fuck are you going to me for advice and plans of what to do next politically or just generally? I'm not a fucking Democratic Party strategist. Why am I the one being asked? All I know is I'm not going anywhere. At least IRL. Online? That's a different question, which I will probably get into at a future date, maybe, hypothetically. Ideally, I would like to continue doing the show throughout the entirety of the Trump administration 2.0, and it would ideally be fitting. The channel started in 2018 at the beginning of the Trump era, then 10 years later will be the end of the Trump era. Hopefully, presuming democracy is still a thing and whatever. Thanks for watching this video. Be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, and click the bell to find a future video when it comes out. And if you want to guarantee that I'll be here for 2028, consider supporting me on Patreon.